Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Luckiest Peach podcast. I'm your host, Rachel, the Lucky Peach. We are on episode number 40. Woo, 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 woo. Why is my heart pounding? Well, I know why my heart is pounding, actually. I'll get to that in a minute. I forgot what I was going to say just now. Oh, okay. We would have hit episode 40 last week. I think I mentioned this last week. We would have hit episode 40 last week. But we had that week off in November, so we're reaching it now, which is totally fine. That's cool. I needed that week off because, as I mentioned previously, the schedule being messed up in November really fucked with my head and the way that I view this podcast. So I needed that week off to recalibrate my mental schedule. Yeah, so it was very much needed. I'll stop mentioning it now. I mean, I only brought it up because this is episode 40, and that's the reason I wanted to bring it up, because that's the reason that we didn't start the new year off with episode 40, which would have been really exciting, but that's totally fine. Next milestone is 50, so that'll be exciting. When do we hit 50? I have it in my calendar. Let me check. Why is my heart pounding? Jesus, it's not like I haven't done this before. We hit 50 in March, so just before the year anniversary of the podcast, which is in April. Let's see. Hold on. Let me check that. Let me get the actual date down right now because I'm going to forget. And then I'm going to do what I did on past milestone episodes and completely forget while I'm recording them and not be able to announce them because I forgot. I write everything down a million times, if you haven't noticed. Let's see. When did we go? April 6th. Okay, let me write that on my calendar. I should write these things after podcasts, like most podcasters do, but as you guys know, I have ADD, so if I don't write it down now, I will 100% forget. April 6th. Oh my god, that's the day after the April Streaming Wars. Oh yeah, because it's the beginning of the month. Duh. So on April 5th, we will be celebrating 1 year of the podcast. It's a Streaming Wars episode, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I could make March as a bonus episode. But I already have plans for what that bonus episode is. Unless I switch it up right now and say that's going to be our year special, which I don't even know what we would do, but maybe, I don't know. 1 year of TLB. Woo, woo, woo. It's in 4 months, so. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. It is our second episode of the month of January, our second episode of 2022. This is actually the first one that I'm recording in 2022 because I recorded Streaming Wars early for patrons at patreon.com/luckypeach. Yeah. I am nervous, but my heart shouldn't be pounding. I can feel it without touching my chest. That's how I know something's weird. I mean, I did just have a lot of sugar, but also, as I mentioned in Streaming Wars, I think at the time I had recorded it, I hadn't done my testing for ADD. I had only had my consultation, but since then I have had my testing for ADD. Did not go well, and by did not go well, I mean it's severe. It's severe ADD. I don't know the official difference between ADD and ADHD, the way that I think it, because ADHD has hyperactivity, and I'm not a hyperactive person. I more just have a hyperactive mind. I'm not physically hyperactive. I'm not a physically energetic person. But yeah, so I mean, there's no such thing as failing or passing when it comes to those kinds of tests, but you know what I mean? In terms of being normal mentally, I failed, which is fine. I knew it was coming, you know. It was cool though, because I got all those electrodes put all over my head, so I felt really special and cool. I've always wanted that. Like, I've always wanted to experience that. It's kind of uncomfortable. Well, no, I forgot they were there, actually. What was uncomfortable was the paste they use to attach them to your head, because it's not like the way you see it in movies. It looks like it's like they're sticky on one side. They're not. They have to paste them on there. Um, kind of like, I guess, well, I don't know, because with crowns, they use cement to cement them to your tooth. It's a paste of some sorts. Yeah, dentistry is like a liquid cement, I think. Um, what am I talking about? They also use resin, I think. I don't know, because they use UV lights in dentistry when they're attaching like when they're putting in fillings now. They use a UV light. So I think modern uh, tooth fillings are like a resin of some sort. Anyways, I did my testing. I got the electrodes put all over my head. It was uncomfortable afterwards because my hair was sticky. Um, so I had to wash it out, but it was fine. It was no big deal, really, but it was just my hair wasn't cooperating. When you have short hair, it like when it doesn't want to cooperate, it's a pain in the ass. So, I mean, I have very, very, very thin, straight hair. So most of the time I don't have to worry about that. Fortunately, my hair is very easy to take care of. Um, but it's very low maintenance. But yeah, that was so. Anytime something like that happens, it's a little uncomfortable. Um, although recently, if you watch the videos, um, which episodes 1 through 30, the videos are now publicly available. Episodes, 30 and up, or 31 and up, are, released only for patrons at patreon.com/luckypeach. If you notice how often my hair changes color, I've been doing that for 10 years now. Um, yeah, and it just recently started drying out after 10 years. So, I mean, I'm surprised it lasted that long, that my hair was healthy, and it's just the ends. I mean, that happens, so I probably just need a trim. But yeah, I'm surprised my hair lasted as long as it did before it started acting like that. For the last 10 years, my hair's been very healthy despite all of the chemicals, the chemical coloring I've added to it. I think part of that is because the color dyes I use are they're conditioning treatments basically with color in them. But yeah, I mean, the damage is mostly from the bleach, and I have not dyed my hair since I bleached it last a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I dried out, but I did a conditioning treatment, so it's in tip-top shape now. I mean, it's not in tip-top shape, it's still dry, but it feels nicer. It doesn't feel dry anymore. It feels moisturized, but the hair is still damaged. It still needs to be trimmed. Anyways, I did get medication for the ADD. That is why my heart is pounding, because it is a stimulant. The first couple of days were rough. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. It's gonna be a weird couple of weeks getting used to it. Well, I'm in my second week of it. Yeah, I'm still a little scatterbrained, but I'm getting there. I'm getting better. I have noticed I am able to focus better, which I very much enjoy. I can get more done. I'm already a quickly moving person at work, but now I can move even quicker. Like, I'm the kind of person that can do something quick and do it right while I'm doing it quick. Because some people, they move fast and they end up half-assing something. I move fast and I do it right. So, yeah, unless it comes to paperwork, then I have to think harder because I have, memory issues. But like physical labor, I'm still scatterbrained, clearly. They did warn me that, like, when I picked up the prescription, that, like, I would get hyper-focused on one thing and I would lose track of time getting hyper-focused on that thing. And, I mean, that's probably what it is in terms of me going on tangents. But that's definitely happening for sure. I am definitely feeling side effects of that mentally. But anyways, I don't know. I kind of like giving y'all life updates at the beginning of episodes. Makes it more personal instead of just getting right to business. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, no, don't talk too much. Don't talk too much. You're here for a reason. But no, I'm gonna keep doing that. I mean, and as always, y'all can give me any feedback you want. I will take it. I'm very open to feedback. What else? Did I talk about? I don't know. I can't remember. But clearly. So recently I became a member of Film Independent, which is the organization for people like me, like aspiring filmmakers and such, and critics. It is the organization that runs the Film Independent Spirit Awards, which is like, one of the biggest award ceremonies for independent film. I got my screeners recently, and I lost my shit when I realized I got them. I was so excited. I wanted to cry. It was like I was meeting Luis for dinner, and then he pulled in the parking lot right after I got the news, and I was like, I was like, dude. I didn't know if I was going to be eligible to vote, and then all of a sudden they're like, here's your screeners to vote, and I was like, I just lost my shit. I was so excited. Yeah, I've only gotten through. I'm watching them going through like the categories. I've gotten through one so far. I'm debating. You know what? It's a good thing I brought this up, because I would like feedback on this for sure. I am debating doing a Twitch stream, or maybe a simultaneous one with Twitch and YouTube, of me and possibly some friends watching the Film Independent Spirit Awards in March. They are on March 6th of this year. I don't think we wouldn't be streaming them. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, and I don't want to get copy striked, but we would at least be reacting to them and commentating over them, over the award ceremony. Please give me feedback if you would like to see that. I noticed, okay, on Spotify, I'm allowed to, I've started, I'm able to ask questions and put up polls on Spotify now. So if you're listening on Spotify, that poll or question will be there. You can give an answer there. If you're listening on any other platform, you can give me feedback on my Twitter at Lucky Peach, or you can send stuff to the email at no. The email is luckiestpeachpodcast@gmail.com. Also, big news on top of that. The stickers are out. They released last week with the episode of Streaming Wars. They are finally out. They are on a Ko-fi page, which you can find on the Linktree now. It is now available on the Linktree, but it'll also be, the link to that website, to the shop, will be available in the description of the episode, so easier access. Yes, it is like, if you want, I'll read the website out to you right now. It's KO dash fi Ko-fi.com / I actually forgot it. Give me a minute. It's because sometimes I do something different. Okay. Ko-fi, KO-fi.com / the Luckiest Peach. You can leave a donation to the podcast itself. If you would just like to do a one-time donation rather than joining Patreon at patreon.com/luckypeach, which I have another announcement regarding Patreon at patreon.com/luckypeach after this. But yeah, you can leave a donation if you want. No, you don't have to. It's up to you. You absolutely do not have to. But the stickers are available to purchase there. They are, if you are watching the video, I'm going to show you one right now. You can also go to my Twitter on my pinned tweet. The photo is there at Lucky Peach. The photo is there. But if you were watching the video on Patreon at patreon.com/Lucky Peach, I am showing it to you right now. Woo, woo, woo. I will give a verbal description of it also for audio listeners. I think I already did this last week, but I'm going to do it again. It is a peach. There is a peach, obviously, and there is a white substance. I'm going to call it milk, but there's a white substance splashing up from under it. If you get what I mean. If you get what I mean. If you catch my drift. And then over the white substance that we are calling milk, it says the Luckiest Peach. And the official size of them, just so you guys know what the size is, because I know that's a very important aspect of it, so you know what you're buying when you buy it. What the fuck? I'm trying to find the right email from Sticker Mule. Oh no, that's a different thing. Fuck my life. I'm sorry. The product dimensions of it are 4 inches by 3.1 inches. So they are rather large. Also, if you're watching the video, they are about the size of my palm. About the size of my palm, for reference. Rather large. So get in on that. I am able to ship internationally. Shipping within the United States is free because it's just an envelope with a stamp, but international shipping, I do have to charge for that. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's only $1.30 American, just because it's a little bit more expensive to ship things internationally, even letters, and also because of customs. So yeah. They are. This is also partially due to the size. This is what I was recommended to charge for them. The cost of them is $3.50 US dollars. So those are available now at Ko-fi.com/The Luckiest Peach. Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm looking at the page of it right now, just because. And also the announcement regarding Patreon, patreon.com/Lucky Peach. I added a new $1 tier, just to make things more affordable, because I know some people can't spare more than that, and I understand that. I honestly should have done that from the beginning. I just didn't think about it, but now it's there. It's a $1 tier. It includes, give me 1 second. It's basically what I did is it has the perks that the $3 tier originally had, and I just bumped up the perks for the $6 and the $3 tier a little bit, to differentiate between them, because the $3 tier does get access to the videos now. In the past, I only had I'm sorry. In the past, I only had the video available to the $6 tier and up, and a couple months ago, I think in November, maybe October, I started making the videos available to the $3 tier as well. So yeah, okay. So the $1 tier I just added is called Peach Babe. Very nice. Of course, it includes, the Discord benefits. Everyone gets that. Yeah, you can get Discord, and you get the audio episodes a week early. And now on the $3 tier, which is called I Appreciate You, you get early access to the video and audio versions, as well as everything else. And now the $6 tier, what I added to it, which I don't know. You get the video and audio a week early. You get the the patron channels on Discord. Um, you get voting on Cult of the Month picks. And because I have such a low number of patrons, that mostly includes me just talking to that person directly. You also get a Luckiest Peach logo sticker that is made through Patreon. I have no connection to that, but you do get that. Uh, it is the podcast logo. I think eventually I will make my own and sell them, but I will include this as a perk because then you just get it with the tier. And then an honor, thank you. Yeah, and all the other tiers are the same. So I think that is all the housekeeping information. Please do get back to me about, or give me your feedback on the idea of streaming commentary over the Film Independent Spirit Awards. The only reason I'm apprehensive about it is one, my work schedule, and two, because I'm voting, I worry. Like I don't like on Letterboxd. If you follow my Letterboxd at Lucky Peach, I do have a list of all the films. But every time I've watched one of the films listed, um, I don't rate it and I don't leave a review. I just put whether I liked it or not, like a heart, and I tag it with in Film Independent Spirit Awards and Screener. I mean, the ones that I saw prior to getting this list of nominees are going to have ratings, but when I rewatch them, I won't put a rating. So I'm doing that so to keep an open and open mind publicly as well as internally. If I don't put a rating, it helps me keep an open mind when I'm looking at all of the nominees. So my apprehension towards live streaming commentary of the ceremony would be that I would react certain ways that might reveal whether or not I voted for them, and I kind of don't want to do that. I would like to keep that private information, because what I can tell you, with the category that I've completed watching so far, which is best documentary, I enjoyed all of them. I have to vote for one of them, but I enjoyed all of them. So, if I live stream commentary over the ceremony, I don't want to give the impression through my reactions that I didn't enjoy the film that won if it's not the one I voted for or something like that. I don't want to give any opinion of that. But yeah, I mean, if I do live stream it, I'll obviously try my best not to do that. I'll just react with an open mind, which is totally fine. Because because I'm a voter, it's different from when I watch other ceremonies where I can just, I'm just an audience viewer. But yeah, do let me know. You can respond to the question on Spotify, or if you are on other platforms listening, you can just tweet me at Lucky Peach or leave me an email at luckiestpeachpodcast@gmail.com. You can also ask me any questions you would like or suggest a film for an episode. But I think I've talked enough. I am rambling. That's another thing I noticed with my medication. I'm better at socializing. I noticed that at work. I've been able to socialize at work better, which I'm proud of. But right now I've been talking about random shit for 25 minutes, and that's not what this episode is. So we're going to get into that. Anyways, okay. So today's episode is Cult of the Month. If you're new here, Cult of the Month is where I review a cult classic film, which is a film that over time has garnered a cult following. I've had a lot of confusion over what classifies a cult film, aside from the fact that it has a cult following. But what specifically classifies it? aside from The Following, because there are a lot of like The Godfather has a cult following, Joker has a cult following, you know what I mean? So like I've had a lot of dispute internally over what specifically qualifies a film as a cult classic. Yeah. So, but that being said, we review cult classic films on this episode. Yeah, I pick them based off of this book I have that has a whole like fuck ton of like hundreds of cult classic films. So that's how I've picked them. I am, however, this year allowing close friends to and listeners to pick an episode of their choose. Well, to pick the film reviewed on the episode closest to their birthday. So if you are listening right now, you can DM me on Twitter at Lucky Peach, or email me at Luckiest Peach Podcast at gmail.com, or even on Instagram at Lucky Peach, telling me your birthday. And I will tell you which episode is closest to it, and you can pick a film that fits that episode. Yeah, but I've chosen them based off of a book I have. So yeah, so this week's review is Eating Raoul from 1982. It is a American Black comedy. It is written, directed, and starring Paul Bartel with Mary. No. We get into the cast later. It is about a prudish married couple who resort to killing and robbing affluent swingers to earn money for their dream restaurant. I chose this film because during the last Criterion sale in November, I saw it on the shelf and I thought the cover was really cool. And then I saw the name and I was like, haha, I have a, Raoul Leonardo Chicano. He's one of my best friends. So I was like, haha, Raoul. And like the first impression I got of it was that it was going to be about cannibals. So I was like, ooh, that'll be interesting. So that's why I chose it. That's not what it's about. I learned that last night. I'll get into my opinions of it later, though. So yeah, it's directed by Paul Bartel, written by Richard Blackburn and Paul Bartel. Cinematography is by Gary Thildges. How do I pronounce that? What are the... Oh, there are no phonetics. See Wikipedia, please. What the fuck is wrong with you? Sometimes they include phonetics on someone's name, sometimes they don't. And I don't like it when they don't, because I like when they include phonetics on how to pronounce something. It's like Thildges. Yes. It was produced by Bartel Film and Janus Films, because it's in the Criterion Collection, so it's produced by Janus. It was originally distributed by 20th Century Fox International Classics and Quartet Films Incorporated. The official release date was March 24th, 1982. The runtime is 83 minutes. The budget was $350,000. And the box office was $1.1 million. So that was a pretty decent profit for how low budget it was. They pretty much only filmed it in a handful of locations, so that makes sense. The plot, this is our favorite part because it takes forever to read. The plot of the film is Paul Bland is a balding wine snob who works at a cheap wine shop. His attractive wife, Mary, is a nurse who is routinely groped by hospital patients. When Paul gets fired, they are left with barely enough money to survive and fear that they will never realize their dream of opening a restaurant. Paul and Mary sleep in separate twin beds since they are prudes who disapprove of sex. They live in an apartment building which regularly hosts swingers parties, which they despise. When a drunk swinger wanders into their apartment and tries to rape Mary, Paul hits him on the head with a cast iron frying pan, unintentionally killing him. Thinking that no one will miss him, they take his money and put his body in the trash compactor. After they kill another swinger the same way, they realize they can make money by killing rich perverts. So here, like, reading it, it's like, ooh, that's promising, So, Doris the Dominatrix, a regular at the swingers' parties, advises Paul and Mary to place an ad in the Hollywood press which caters to men seeking kinky sex scenes. Mary lures men to the apartment by promising to satisfy their sexual fetishes. When they try to have sex with her, Paul grows alarmed enough to kill them with the frying pan. The Blands are surprised at how lucrative their scheme is. So, like, I like, I like that the plot was kind of like, it starts off as, oh, we're gonna kill you know, sex offenders, sexual assaulters, and steal their money, which is respectable. What I don't like about it is that they have to be like prudes, like, oh, we don't like sex. In order to do that, I would kill a pervert anyways, and I also don't like the word prude, but it's a black comedy, so that makes sense. Uh, but I'm not a virgin or a quote unquote prude, but I would do that anyways. I mean, no, Mr. FBI man, no, I would not. I would not kill anybody. But like, let's be honest. Anyways, so yeah, at first I like the I like the plot. At first I was like, oh my god, they're gonna kill, potential rapists, or I mean, they probably, what if they already are, what I didn't like about that part of it though is that they were swingers, so it gives, and it's a black comedy, so it's making fun of everything. I get that, and it's supposed to be, very crude, but it's the fact that they are like, only swingers are like that. Only swingers are like that. So it's this weird, like, I don't know. I didn't like that part of it because I was like, you're assuming that only swingers disrespect other people's sexual freedom and boundaries, which isn't true at all. People who swing, to my knowledge and my research, are actually very respectable to other people's sexual boundaries and limitations. So that's an uncomfy, like, to me, it was an uncomfortable, like, assumption, part of the like the comedic thing being that, oh, this is this virgin couple who doesn't like sex, uh, and they don't like swingers, which are couples who have sex and are in open relationships, and they just assume that all swingers are sex offenders and they kill them all. And I mean, I know the beginning of it is because these men try to rape Mary, which is understandable, but it still implies that swingers are sex offenders, because even like one of the opening scene, one of the opening scenes, is Mary at work with a patient who is groping her and trying to have sex with her, and she just makes fun of him and embarrasses him, which was funny. But then, like, later in the film, that very patient turns out to be a swinger. So it's like, the fuck? So at first you're like, oh, okay, her patient gropes her and she doesn't like it. Ha. And then he shows up at the swinger party and that's how they're like, oh, no, I don't like that. Anyways, continuing on. The Blands have new locks installed in their apartment to protect Paul's wine collection. The locksmith is Raoul Mendoza, which I laughed at because Raoul, that is his last name. My friend Raoul, the nerdy Chicano, who's been on multiple episodes, and we can't get rid of him, but I don't want to get rid of him because I keep inviting him back. But anyways, I thought that was funny. So whose service is a ruse which allows him to rob his customers' homes. He sneaks into the Bland's apartment the next night and stumbles across the corpse of their latest victim. Paul confronts Raoul, and both men realize they are in a compromising position. They strike a deal. Neither will report the other to the police. Paul and Mary will pocket their victim's cash, and Raoul will keep their other possessions, splitting any proceeds with them and dispose of the bodies. So a nice compromise. When a client of Mary's fails to show one night, Paul leaves to buy groceries and a new frying pan. Since Mary is squeamish about cooking and the one that they use to kill people, it's understandable. While Mary is alone, the client arrives late and tries to rape her. Raoul drops by and strangles the client to death. He offers Mary a joint and they have sex. After Paul grows suspicious, he follows Raoul and discovers he has been selling the victims' bodies to a dog food company, selling their expensive cars and secretly keeping the money. Raoul tries to persuade Mary to run away with him after they have sex again. He nearly runs down Paul with a car, so Paul hires Doris, a dominatrix, to use her costuming and role-playing skills to get rid of him. This is where it gets upsetting. Like, I know, again, like I said, I know the purpose of a black comedy is to be crude and, crossing boundaries and a bit out of pocket and, and vulgar. But this is where I start to get like, this isn't even funny. So Doris poses as an immigration agent threatening Raoul, a Mexican immigrant, with deportation. She then, on a separate occasion, pretends to be a public health worker who diagnoses him with a venereal disease. The pills she promises will cure him are actually saltpeter tablets, which render him impotent. These schemes fail to deter Raoul's interest in Mary. The Blants fear they will lose the property they wish to buy for the restaurant to another buyer. To quickly earn more cash, they attend a swingers party in search of victims. Mr. Leach, a bank lender who earlier refused to loan Mary money after she rejected his sexual advances, sees her at the party and propositions her. Again, this is something that happened previously in the movie. She goes to the bank to try and get a loan so that they can buy the restaurant. And the banker guy, Mr. Leach, again, tries, gropes her and sexually assaults her. And because she rejects his advances, he doesn't give her the loan. He refuses it. And then later on in the movie, he shows up and it's like, oh, he's a swinger. That explains it. The fuck? Yeah. I don't know if I'm just reading into it too much because it is a black comedy and it's not meant to be taken seriously, but like the assumptions that they're leading on, first of all, are wrong and ignorant and racist, but it's just uncomfortable. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. Mary kills him with a rat tail comb. What the fuck is a rat tail comb? I'm sure when I see it, I'll know what it is. The rat tail comb. Oh, it's okay. I didn't know that's what those were called. It's the kind of comb that has a pointy end that like stylists use to part hair. I didn't know that's what those were called. Anyways, she kills him with one of those and throws his body from a window. While Paul and Mary try to retrieve Mr. Leach's possessions, the party's host demands they join the nude guests in the hot tub or leave. Paul loses his temper and hurls an electric space heater into the hot tub, killing the partygoers and enabling him and Mary to take their money and sell their cars. That actually was funny. Him throwing the space heater in there was actually pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, because every single one of those motherfuckers died really quick. It was kind of funny. A drunken Raoul breaks into the Blants' apartment and threatens to kill Paul for not sharing the money earned from the swingers' cars. He announces that he intends to wed Mary and tells her to kill Paul with the frying pan. Instead, Mary lures Raoul into the kitchen and murders him. Mary confesses her affair to Raoul with Paul, who tells her that he already knows. This part bothers me, the fact that they call it her confessing it, because she actually accused him of raping her. It was consensual. Actually, you know what? No, it wasn't. It was coercion. Very much coercion. But Mary calls it like him forcing herself on her. Again, coercion is rape. I apologize. I misspoke. But the way that Mary phrases it is it doesn't line up with what actually happened, if you get what I'm saying, because it was not consensual. Like, yes, she did have sex with him, and yes, she was like, yeah, that was good, but she didn't entirely say yes. He coerced her into it, which is rape. The way she explains it, though, is different. And, yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to phrase it so that I don't say it ignorantly or incorrect, because it was coercion. When they have sex, and afterwards, the way she talks to him is like she wants to see him again, is the thing. Is that she does see him again on a few occasions, and they have sex those times. It doesn't change the fact that he coerced her, but she invited him back, is what I'm getting at. She very much invited him back. But the way she talks to Paul about it, she says, oh, he broke into the house and forced himself on me. The first time he did break into the house, he actually wasn't supposed to be there. He should have knocked, honestly. But he opened the door, he entered himself in, but he was bringing the money from selling the cars, the possessions, not the cars. But yeah, so he forces on himself on her the first time and coerces her. Again, sexual assault, 100%. She invites him back and explains the affair to Paul in a way that makes it seem like it was all very much forceful rape. So none of it's okay. I'm not going to say that it was. None of it was okay. Mary very much is a victim to it, but she's not innocent in it, if you get what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying. I don't know how to explain this without it sounding wrong. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is the way that she confesses her affair isn't confessing an affair, is what I'm saying. Because they do straight up have an affair after that first sexual assault with him, which is 100% sexual assault. Anyways, so after that, the Blands suddenly remember that James, the real estate agent who's helping them buy the property for the restaurant, will arrive for dinner soon. With no meat in the house and no time to go grocery shopping, they cook Raoul and serve him for dinner, describing the dish as Spanish. The Blands buy the building for the new restaurant, Paul and Mary's Country Kitchen, and the final shot is them standing outside the restaurant, and it says Bon Appetit instead of like the end or, stuff like that. So, yeah, okay. I really got caught up trying to explain that further because I didn't want to misspeak and explain it a way that wasn't correct. So I apologize if I did. That wasn't my intention. Anyways, the cast: Paul Bartel as Paul Bland, Mary Warrenoff as Mary Bland. Them two, they actually collaborated a lot on a few films. Robert Beltran stars as Raoul Mendoza. Susan Sager as Doris the Dominatrix. Buck Henry as Mr. Leach, the bank manager. Edie McClurg has like a small cameo in the film. I wouldn't call it a cameo. Well, yeah, no, it is a cameo because she's in like one scene and has like 3 minutes of screen time. She goes up to them and wants to, when they go to that swingers party to like find victims, she says like, hey, me and my husband want to have sex with you. Richard Paul plays Mr. Cray, which is a liquor store owner at the beginning of the film. Yeah. So, critical reception. Roger Ebert, the podcast's least favorite person. He gave Eating Raoul 2 stars, explaining, "The movie's got some really funny stuff in it, and I liked a lot of it, and I wouldn't exactly advise not seeing it, but it doesn't quite go that last mile. It doesn't reach for the truly unacceptable excesses, the transcendent breaches of taste that might have made it inspired instead of merely clever." Now, in a rare occurrence in the podcast, which I don't think this has happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this has happened in the last 8 months of the podcast. I do not think this has happened, but it's about to happen. I agree with Roger Ebert. I agree with Roger Ebert for the first time ever on the podcast. I don't know if I have off air, but for the first time on air, on the podcast, on the record, I agree with Roger Ebert. So I'm not going to say fuck you to him this time. Normally I do. This time I'm not. Anyways, Vincent Canby of the New York Times wrote, "One mustn't blunt its pleasures by calling it a laugh riot. It is full of smiles, punctuated here and there by marvelously, unseemingly guffaws, but most of the time it works its little wonders quietly. The comic style is purposely flat, plain and ordinary, like a piece of pop art." That's true. The comic art is very flat. The way that they kill people, it's with the cast iron skillet, which accurately, what I assume, to kill somebody with a blunt force trauma like that, you would have to hit them multiple times repeatedly over the head. This film, the way they kill people, they just smack them once with it and they're dead, which is funny. It's very comic, very, very pop arty. Rotten Tomatoes gives the film a score of 86%, with an average rating of 6.8 out of 10. Based on 21 reviews, the website's critics' consensus for the film reads, "Eating Raoul serves up its spectacularly lurid tale with a healthy heaping of pitch-black humor and anarchic vigor." There's no notes about the production. Wow. On April 13th, 2004, the long out-of-print film was released on DVD by Columbia TriStar. So there was no way to own it physically until 2004. On September 25th, well, I mean, there might have been, but it says long out of print, so, but I feel like it would have said for the first time. So maybe it's possible, but it was out of print for a long time. That's as much as I know. I don't actually know. On September 25th, 2012, the Criterion Collection released the film on DVD and on Blu-ray. Let's see what number spine it is. Nope. I only have the link for the channel. I don't need the channel. I want the actual website for the collection. What number spine is it? Let's see. Yeah, the cover of it is really cool. It's like it's a pop art actually style. It's a cast iron skillet frying pan. There's like a comic style, animated mouth with a leg hanging out of the teeth. And then there's like a pop arty, like modern looking font around the mouth inside the pan that says Eating Raoul. And it's the background of it is yellow. And the Criterion logo and the like information on the side of it from Criterion is hot pink or magenta, actually. It is, where the fuck? It is spine number 625. Oh, that's cool. Okay, the Blu-ray comes with an audio commentary from screenwriter Richard Blackburn, production designer Robert Schulenberg, and editor Ellen Tumayan. There are 2 short films from Paul Bartel called The Secret Cinema and Naughty Nurse from the 60s. Cooking Up Raoul, a new documentary about the making of the film. Nice. A gag reel archival interview with Paul Bartel and Mary Warnoff, the trailer, and a booklet with an essay by film critic David Aronsten. Nice. Okay. How does I don't know. Okay, this is what Criterion says. A sleeper hit of the early 1980s, Eating Raoul was a body, gleefully amoral tale of conspicuous consumption. Warhol superstar Mary Warnoff, and cult legend Paul Bartel, who also directed, portray a prudish married couple who feel put on by the swingers living in their apartment building. One night, by accident, they discover a way to simultaneously rid themselves of the perverts. The people that come into their apartments are for sure perverts, but swingers themselves are not perverts. Down the hall and realize their dream of opening a restaurant. They realized their dream before they started killing people. A mix of hilarious anything goes slapstick and biting satire of me generation self-indulgence. It is satire of that, but does sexual liberation and the sexual revolution need to be satirized? Because that's very, very important. That's a very important thing for society, considering how conservative American society was until those specific revolutions, those more societal and cultural revolutions. So, yeah, Eating Raoul marked the end of the sexual revolution with a thwack by satirizing it. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I guess it's more satirizing people who were against it because the main couple. Okay, I get it now. I get it. I get the point of the film, but I still don't like it. And I'll get to that in a minute. So for the legacy, Warnoff and Bertel later appeared together as Mary and Paul Bland in a cameo in the film Chopping Mall. Warnoff and Beltran appeared together again in Night of the Comet, though not as their Eating Raoul characters. The two also starred together in Bartel's critically acclaimed follow-up feature, Scenes from the Class Struggle in Beverly Hills. Eating Raoul stage musical adaptation was presented off-Broadway in 1992 and also played in London in 2000. A sequel titled Bland Ambition was planned. The script was written by Paul Bartel and Richard Blackburn. As described by Bartel, the film starts with Paul and Mary Bland happily ensconced in their country kitchen where they're doing a land office business. The arrogant young governor of California. Hi, welcome back to my parents interrupting the podcast. It doesn't happen in a few months, but here we are. Anyways, the arrogant young governor of California stops off to have lunch and is furious he is not recognized and permitted to jump the line. In retaliation, he sends a health inspector to close down the country kitchen. What a Karen. And Paul and Mary are encouraged by the media to retaliate in kind and run against him for governor of California. Bland Ambition was about 10 days from the start of filming in April 1989 when Vestron withdrew its financial backing. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I don't know. Again, I haven't read that script, but I wonder if it actually mentions the events of, if it would have mentioned the events of the previous film because they killed people and cannibalized somebody. Yeah. So getting into it, the more I've thought about it, and as I was speaking over it and reading through the plot and talking over it, I can understand what it was satirizing. Now, finally, it was satirizing, conservatives who are prudish and disapprove of sex like that. and assume that swingers are perverts and people who are sexually liberated are perverts. I understand that for sure. The reason I didn't like that is because, I come from, the 21st century, older Gen Z, where I don't particularly take to that kind of thing. And I get in the 1980s, when that stuff was big, that makes a lot of sense. It's very indicative of that time period to satirize that exact thing. I just personally, as somebody who is acquainted with people who are sex workers or are very sexually liberated, I don't like that assumption that sexually liberated people could be perverts. But I get why that, my mom threw a fit the first time she found out I wore thongs. So I can get that now that I think about it. The more I've thought about it. But where I don't like it specifically in that front is that it felt like a big rape joke. And I know, yeah, like, it's like, they're killing these perverts that they don't like. But I'm not conservative and I wasn't alive during, the sexual revolution. And, I wasn't alive and I wasn't a conservative prude during the sexual revolution. But I don't like that. I just don't like that. I know conservatives assume that sexually liberated people, they assume or think that they are perverts and, and menaces to society. But I don't like that. They're just like, no, they're all rapists. And that's why we're going to kill them. Like, what? What? Like the scenes where, because they pose as, they pose Mary as a dominatrix who wants to give into those fantasies. Some of those sequences are interesting because it's just these creepy old men wanting to pursue their fantasies with a woman, it still happens today, and it's totally fine. It's respectable, except for one of them. One of those scenes was fucked up because it was a guy who had a Nazi fantasy. That was actually fucked up. But the others were like, it's understandable. It happens. With the exception of that one, it's understandable and respectable that some people want to seek out sex workers to live out their sexual fantasies, as long as they are not, offensive and anti-Semitic. That's understandable. But half of those sequences, the people that they brought in then attempted to rape them. Those, I'm like, okay, that's part of it. But then it adds to the like, oh, so people looking to live out their sexual fantasies with this sex worker are rapists? What? And and then like the fact that like a big part of the subplot was that, oh my God, everyone wants to fuck Mary. Everyone's trying to rape Mary. And like, again, that's part of the driving force into, them starting to kill people and why they kill people. But it just feels like a big rape joke. Like, as a feminine, as a person with feminine body parts, being looked at like that, being groped like that, having had experience, unfortunately, I have had sexual assault experience and have been, groped in public and ogled at in public. I mean, I'm not as pretty as, Mary Warrenoff, but I've had those situations happen. I've had it happen at work. Having had those happen, to be in Mary's shoes, and I get it's a joke, it's satire, it's black comedy, I get that, but to be in Mary's shoes like that and constantly treated like that would be so frustrating and upsetting. Like, I don't get that that was a joke. I don't think that was funny. I really don't. It just felt like a big rape joke, and I don't know if that's just, part of, my upbringing in my generation, or, me being a survivor myself and already hating the idea of all that. But I just don't like that. It just felt like a big rape joke, and I'm not a fan of rape jokes. Especially like that. Killing rapists, that's funny. That's understandable. I can get behind that in a film, but a big part of the film being a joke about, oh, everyone wants to fuck this woman, all these men are trying to rape this, that's not a joke. That's not funny. That's really not. The other part that really pissed me off was how racist it was. It was incredibly racist. Incredibly racist. And again, indicative of the time period. That kind of shit was okay back then in comedy. But you know what? It's 2022. I'm going to give it a 2022 worthy review. It's incredibly racist, and I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I couldn't stand it. I can, Raoul making jokes about himself as a Latino, that's normal. That's okay. That's normal. But, the rest of the cast was white, and they constantly were saying racist shit. At one point, using a certain slur that is, it's a slur from a word about a certain food that a lot of Latin Americans consume, if you know what I mean. It rhymes with mean, or meaner. They use that slur. The white characters, I mean. And like, I'm used, we live in a society now where people of marginalized communities have reclaimed slurs, so like, it's okay for those specific communities to say, like I say queer slurs all the time about myself. Only about myself, but about myself. But no, that's obviously not the case. It's the white characters using slurs and playing into stereotypes of, oh, Mexicans are thieves and crooks and they're dangerous. And the opening sequence, which happens in the like wine shop that Paul works at before he gets fired, they get robbed by a black man, and they make it very obvious that they specifically chose a black man to play that role because he's one of the like 3 or 4 people of color in that film, and all of the people of color in that film are portrayed as criminals. That and just a lot of the comments that the white characters make about, the characters of color is just, it's uncomfortable. It really is. And then, as I mentioned previously, Doris posing as an immigration agent to threaten Raoul with deportation to like try and persuade him to get away from Mary. It's not even funny. Like, I get it, that's supposed to be a joke, but it's not. It's really not that funny. What the fuck? My computer just made a noise. I'm sorry. It's not funny. It's not funny to me. I thought it was incredibly fucking racist. Yeah, afterwards I went to the reviews. I know this film was very loved by a lot of people. Yeah. It says, one of the reviews reads, lots of comedic rapes. Yeah, that's not funny. The comedy, going back to what Roger Ebert said in his review, the comedy is very flat, very basic, very standard, but not in the way of some satires and comedies, like, for example, like Airplane, where like it's very basic, standard comedy like that, but it's insistent and never ends, and it's hilarious. This is just like occasional. And it's just clever, but it's not like actually like, haha, it's not a laugh riot, in my opinion. You know, I wouldn't not recommend it because, watch it for yourself, gain your own opinion on that. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. It's understandable. This is merely my opinion. I didn't like the film. Yeah, I can't. There really aren't that many low reviews of it, and I'm one of the only ones. Okay, this is another thing that bothered me before I read this review. I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that the title leads one to believe that it's going to be about cannibals, and like in the end of the film, it dwindles down to that. Yes, they do eat Raoul. They do become cannibals at the end of the film, but I feel like that serves as a spoiler in a way, and this is an old film, so that doesn't matter really, but it's also misleading because you read the title of the film, you're like, eating Raoul. Oh my god, are they going to eat more people? They're going to eat people. They're going to eat a lot of people. No, they eat one person at the end of the movie. It just felt a little misleading, and I don't like being misled. So I'm going to read a review from PTA Bro. I think I'm going to assume that person really likes Paul Thomas Anderson. He gave it 1.5 stars. They said, what are the pronouns? Do they have their pronouns? On the page, no activity. Wow. Okay. He, him. Okay. His review reads, well, that was interesting. I'm all for a good black comedy, especially one that involves killing swingers for money and selling the bodies to a taco stand. But with Eating Raoul, I just could not get past the performances of the leads and most of the swinger cameos. Although Robert Beltran as Raoul himself did a fine job. He did a good job. Unless the dialogue and wooden acting were meant to be intentionally campy, as some of the set pieces and gags clearly implied, it was just grating to hear characters spout a line of exposition for the sole reason of bridging a cut. He has an example where it says, like, look, a wallet, and it cuts to a close-up of a character picking up a wallet, or saying James 8 times in the same shot to remind us that, yes, James's imminent arrival is of the utmost importance. The real problem here is that Eating Raoul clearly wants to be a campy B-movie satire. It does its best with over-the-top ideas, but fails in living up to the satirical or so bad it's good potential. The gags are presented in such a flat, unsubtle manner that it feels like Bartel was more concerned with the inherent humor behind them rather than the execution. It doesn't help that there is no real style to the film. The camera is always eye level and horizontal, and the lighting is always artificial. The performances, while bad, are either too subtly intentional or not bad enough to at least make them interesting. Eating Raoul was polished enough to keep it from feeling like it was made on a shoestring, restrained enough to keep it from feeling campy, and corny enough to keep it from being any good. I agree. Let's see if I can find another review. That one says more of the same. I'll read it anyways. This review is from Cherry. Let's see if I can find pronouns. Okay. Oh, she watched T-Town recently. Okay. So Cherry's review states, loved the concept of murdering sleazy men, hated the execution. Same. This was so one note and repetitive that I felt like I was going to lose my mind. The comedy they throw in is more like when you're rushing to be funny in a school project and it just completely misses. A prime example of why I created the poster is cooler than the movie tag. Yeah, she has a tag that says the poster is cooler than the movie. That's true. I think it is. My review is 1 star. Did I read? Cherry's was 1.5. Mine is 1 star. I said, big oof. I can understand killing attempted rapists, but this movie would have been a lot funnier if the whole thing wasn't a big rape joke with rampant racism mixed in. Also, the title being misleading was a big turnoff. Yeah, that's my review. I gave it 1 out of 5 peaches. I did not like it. I'm sorry, Raoul, that I chose this movie because it reminded me of you when this movie is actually not a thing for me. I agree with those other reviews. For once in the history of the podcast, I agree with Roger Ebert. It was pretty flat. It felt like it was trying too hard to be funny. The execution of the jokes was like, ha, look, I made a joke. Like when a straight white man makes a joke and looks back and forth, I think it's going to be the funniest thing in the entire world, and it really wasn't funny at all. For example, my dad does that all the time. But that is my review. Yeah. Let me know if you liked that I read some of the Letterboxd reviews. I kind of wanted to include that on top of the critic reviews because Letterboxd is, everyday people. Maybe I should read well, it's too late, but next episode or next Cults of the Month, do give me feedback of whether or not you would like me to read Letterboxd reviews again. Instead of just reading bad reviews, like next time I can read both bad and good reviews. But I already got off of Letterboxd. I don't feel like going back. You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. Okay. This will be it. And then I'm closing out the episode. I apologize. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't apologize. Y'all know I like to fucking plan episodes as I'm recording them. Okay, so I'm going to read a review from Tony the Terror. This is a horror person. When I say horror person, I mean people who almost exclusively consume horror. They, them. Okay. Their review is 4.5 stars, and it reads, "Oh wow, I absolutely love this. It's about an uptight couple who discover an unconventional way to make money and they accidentally kill a neighbor, and it's just so much fun. Also, I love Mary Warrenoff. I remember this being a popular movie in the 80s, although I was too young to see it during its heyday. I remember always seeing that VHS box at the video store, but I never had an overwhelming urge to sneak watch it without my parents knowing. Once I was grown, I went through a period where I was entirely obsessed with anything related to Andy Warhol and the Factory, which is where I discovered Queen Mary what's her last name? Warrenoff. And still, I never got around to watching this. Now that I have, I am certain that this will be the beginning of a lovely relationship with this movie. I mean, I knew she was amazing, but this movie really gives her a chance to display her great comic timing, and I love, love, love it to pieces. I don't think I've ever seen anything else by Paul Bartel, but I'm willing to explore even if none of them will be as good as this because Mary Warrenoff. This is my personal opinion. I feel like their review was a little bit biased. I'm not disagreeing with them. I mean, I didn't like the film, so I do disagree with them on that, but it feels biased in a way, which is understandable. That happens. Let me find another one real quick. I mean, I did like that it was a review from somebody who was alive when the movie came out, but they didn't see the movie when it came out. That's totally fine. I'm trying to find a short one. Somebody called it Diet John Waters. I can't comment on that. I don't think I've ever seen a John Waters film. I've seen films that John Waters is in, but I've never seen a John Waters film. Somebody called it Armie Hammer's favorite movie, and then too soon. That's funny. That is funny. I bet it is. I couldn't find another review, but I think I'll do that. Continuing on with reviews, reading a lower review from Letterboxd and a higher review from Letterboxd on top of my own. New year, new plans for the podcast. So yeah, I keep saying I want to stop doing like this, like impulsively looking shit up during it, but I feel like that's part of the chaos of it. It's part of the vibe. So yeah, I'm not going to apologize. I do apologize a lot, but at the end, I don't. I am the way that I am. I do apologize for misspeaking when I was explaining Mary confessing her affair to Paul. Yeah. I do like, another part I didn't like about that is that Paul uses racist phrasing when he's like, I know. He's a, assumption that, Hispanics and Latin Americans are criminals. So, yeah, I do apologize for misspeaking about that. I didn't think before I started talking. I was just kind of letting it flow out of me, which normally works, but that time it ate me in the ass because I hadn't put my thoughts together on that yet. So I apologize for that. Yeah. But thank you for listening to this. You can find me everywhere at Lucky Peach, LBCKY Peach. I do apologize, no updates on the website, but that Ko-fi page is live. So yeah. But if you go to the description of this episode or any of my socials, you can find a link tree. That link tree will take you to my Twitter, my Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Letterboxd, the Patreon, patreon.com/LuckyPeach, the Ko-fi, YouTube. Link to the YouTube itself is just youtube.com/the Luckiest Peach. Yeah. Thank you to my patrons at patreon.com/LuckyPeach for joining and for supporting the podcast. Yeah. In the description of this podcast, you will find the Ko-fi link as well as the link tree. I think there's like another link in there somewhere. I think it's the Patreon or the Discord. I can't remember. But yeah, those links are also in the description of each episode, so you don't only have to go to my socials to find it. I realized I shouldn't have, like, for the last 8 months I was saying, if you go to my socials, you can find the link tree, but the link tree has been in the description of the episodes the whole time. So it was just dumb on my part, but yeah, those links are in the description. They always have been. I'm just an idiot. But yeah, the Ko-fi is there. The stickers are live. If you would like to get a sticker, I would very much appreciate your support. Put a lot of hard work into designing them, but it's completely optional. I don't want to pressure you guys into anything. I will see you guys next week, where I will be reviewing Nightmare Alley. I may or may not have a guest. We will see about that. But yeah, thank you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Stay peachy.